the SpongeBob movie, search for SquarePants. So the letterbox description is ship's about to go down. Desperate to be a big guy, so SpongeBob sets out to prove his bravery to Mr. Krabs by following the Flying Dutchman, a mysterious swashbuckling ghost pirate, on a seafaring adventure that takes him to the deepest depths of the deep sea where no sponge has gone before. So it's a 2025 film directed by Derek Dryman, who's done Hotel Transformania. And the cast is, as usual, Tom Kenny, who plays SpongeBob, Clancy Brown, who plays Mr. Krabs, and is also in the new Dexter. He was in not the new Dexter, but he was in what's the one? Season 8 New Blood, that was it. Roger Bumpas as Squidward and Mark Hamill as the Flying Dutchman. So it's basically SpongeBob. I mean, the lecture says all really. I don't really have much more to add, but basically he wants to go on this roller coaster. He's been trying to measure himself every day to go on this roller coaster. He chickens out of it at the last minute while he's there, and so I'm just staring at Jack. He's making a funny face. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my notes. Yeah, and then
got it.
Huh? You all right?
Am I not muted?
No. You are now. So my biggest talk point is Ice Bison. Why? Doesn't need to be in it at all. Probably shouldn't be in a kids' film. I mean, if kids' are going to listen and see the music because she was in the SpongeBob movie, then something's gone wrong there. I mean, who thought that was a good idea? Not me, but she's in it. Not really great, but she made a song for it or something. I don't really know. My biggest complaint about the new SpongeBob movie is it has the new 3D animation style, and I've not seen anything like this from SpongeBob before, apart from I can't remember for the new one, like the 2021 with Keanu Reeves has it, but I do remember that Jack has just loaded up Cyberpunk 2077. So it's just popped up on my screen. But it does feel like it doesn't feel like a SpongeBob movie. When I watch the old SpongeBob episodes, and I still do it time to time because it's my favorite show, growing up when I was a kid. It doesn't feel like it looks better visually, in a way, yes, but it doesn't have that same charm that SpongeBob had, and it kind of takes away from the charm that it does have, because I feel like the style of SpongeBob and the way it was drawn and cartoon, I feel like that made it what it was, and it had that charm in itself. Which, when you take it away, it just doesn't feel like SpongeBob I grew up with and most people grew up with, and it just doesn't, it doesn't feel like that. And again, I wouldn't necessarily call this enjoyable by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not going to say it's boring, because I don't think it was. I think it does, what's the word? Not cater, but it does draw that thin line between being boring but I'm not going to say I was entertained, but it's not. I wasn't quite entertained, but I wasn't boring and waiting for this because it was dragging on or anything. But it does. But I think the reason for that, and that's not because it's not boring, because it's a great movie, but I think it's trying to be stimulating to the point where, because it's catering to iPad kids at the end of the day. I think kids movies now, I think it's hard to find them really boring unless you hate the plot and hate the story and hate the characters, which, yeah, I didn't really like the story. I didn't really think that it was good, but it has that adventure, but is it good? Not really. Is it I think that kids movies nowadays, because they have the cater for iPad kids, that they're not awful, they're not horrific, they're not horrendous. So yeah, I wouldn't really say it's awful, but is it great? No, probably not. But again, they try to do jokes at adults, and it doesn't work. When SpongeBob gets nervous, a brick falls out, right? He's shitting bricks, but it just doesn't land. I mean, one guy in the cinema laughed, but it doesn't land for me, in the sense of, it's not the same jokes that you'd get for adults, back in the old day, not back in the old day, but back in the 80s, back in the 2000s. You don't get those same jokes, right? But again, talking about being stimulating, a Labubu pops out. I'm gonna talk about this next because it kind of goes into it, but the cinema experience I had was horrific as well. You go to a kids movie, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, they're not going to be the kids, but what happened was is there was a group of about 15 people, and they must have had birth party. I'm like fairly certain they were. And I walk into the cinema, and the Jet 2 advert is on, and now obviously that's been a big meme for the for, like past year. And they were literally shouting that, and I went, "Oh God, this is gonna be pain." And they're talking. I mean, I'm like, "Yeah, it's a kids movie. I'm expecting that. Do I think it's right? No, but you expect it, right?" But like they were just singing and chanting along at every possible opportunity. And I'm so glad that none of them spotted the Labubu because it was on screen for a split second. It was quite small. I don't know how I caught it, but they caught it and they didn't catch it. And I was so glad because you wouldn't have heard the end of it. But yeah, I mean, again, it just shows you that you don't. There's nothing there for adults or older people to watch. I get it's a kid film and not for that's not the target audience. And I'm not saying that they have to cater, but what I'm saying is, I think that the fact I'm not blaming this for a bad cinema experience, but at least I'd probably say 80% of the adults in that screen had their phone on and were on their phone at least once during the movie, at least. And maybe that's because it wasn't entertaining for older people, adults. Maybe there's not enough things that make the adults want to watch it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that they have to sit there and enjoy it because they don't. But what I'm saying is maybe that the reason they're on it is because they're bored and nothing rewards them. And I'm not saying it should do because it's a kids movie, but maybe that's something. I also feel that I didn't feel there was much jeopardy in the story. Yes, there was in a way, but like it feels so obvious that it's all going to work out to the point where the jeopardy you do get, it doesn't feel like proper jeopardy because I know that everything is going to be okay. It just never feels like there's it doesn't feel like there's loads of danger, like I don't see that, so that's pretty everything I have to say about SpongeBob. My final rating is 1 out of 5. It's terrible, but it has one or two okay moments. It's not good. It's nowhere near being good, but the kids on my screen seem to be entertained. So I guess that's something that's positive. We're not the target audience, or I'm not the target audience for it. That's fine. But I'm not saying they have to cater to me. They don't. But what I am saying is I watched the movie, didn't like it, had a bad time with it. Did the target audience for it like it? I think so, from the reactions that I got. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Final rating 1 out of 5.